All right. Now, just before we get, it's time for Corruption Watch. Obviously, you can hear the music. You know it's time. But just before that, there's been a poll that we put up on Twitter. Uh, uh, we put up a question, and the results are interesting on the list.
Yes, when we asked that as a nation, are we fighting corruption the right way? And so far, 232 people have voted. 89.2% say no, we are not. And 10.8% say yes, we are.
Run 'em. Well, we'll see how that unfolds as the poll continues. But look, it's time for Corruption Watch. Now, some devastating news coming through for those who were hoping that the anti corruption campaign would yield better results. Indeed, only 3 out of 10, or 30% of Ghanaians, expect fighting corruption in government to be better by the end of the Akufo-Addo government's second term in office. Only 3 out of 10 think it will be better by the end of his term. Now, does it mean that people have given up on leadership and don't expect any change? Well, recently, the chair of the Internal Audit Agency, Joseph Winful, suggested that appointing persons with competence and integrity to head public institutions would help eradicate corrupt practices. Well, I suppose that means that fighting corruption in this country comes down to one word: integrity. Now, on Corruption Watch today, we discuss how the Ghana Integrity Awards, which is a reward system for people displaying integrity, can help to tackle corruption. So, of course, Corruption Watch is sponsored by Danida in collaboration with partners Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, and multimedia platforms Joy FM and Adom FM. On social media, you can find us all over the place. On Facebook, we are Corruption Watch Ghana. On Twitter, Corruption Watch or at CW Ghana. On Instagram, we are Corruption Watch _GH. On YouTube, we're Corruption Watch Ghana. And of course, the website is corruptionwatchghana.org. You can call us on 055 22 00033 or send a WhatsApp to the same number 055 22 00033. The hashtags are Wanamoni and Ghana Abre. And of course, on Corruption Watch today, we are going to Anti-Corruption School. Our distinguished guest for today, Emeritus Professor Stephen Ade, who's an economist and he used to be the chairman of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Mary Awenlana. I always struggle with this one. Awenlana. Yeah. Awelana Ada. Mary Ada.
That's
easier
all.
for me, yes. Mary is the programs manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative, and Justice Emil Francis Short is Ghana's first ever commissioner of SHRAJ, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. So, yesterday, CDD Ghana released their post-election survey results. Now, the takeaway for anti-corruption fraternity is that the vast majority of Ghanaians who were sampled in the survey do not expect fighting corruption in government to be better by the end of the President Akufo-Addo's second term in office. Indeed, only 3 out of 10, or 30% of Ghanaians, expect fighting corruption in government to be better by the end of the president's second term. Why are these details important? Well, integrity. Yeah, integrity affects the state of corruption everywhere. We are assessing, the role of individual and institutional integrity in the fight against corruption in Ghana. Winston is here to assist me to complete the introduction to today's conversation.
But could you let's say good morning to Justice Short and Professor Stephen Ade. Professor Ade joining us via Zoom and Justice Short on phone. Good morning, Professor Ade, and good morning, Justice Short.
Good morning to you, and thank you for having me.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Great.
We also have in the studio Mariada, who we
Mariada,
heard
yes.
a little bit from earlier.
Yes. So, the fight against corruption requires the use of multiple approaches: prevention, public education, punishment of offenders, and payback or recovery of stolen or wasted resources. This country is at a point where it needs to channel more energy into the prevention of further occurrences of corruption. This can be catalyzed if public officials or institutions or private enterprises project integrity. In 1998, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, in collaboration with its partners, laid the foundation for the establishment of a national integrity system at the first National Integrity Workshop held at the Accra International Conference Center. Now, given the limited success of previous attempts to combat corruption based on legislation and prosecution, participants at the workshop favored a national integrity system with primary emphasis on changing systems rather than blaming individuals. The national integrity system would highlight preventive aspects in order to make corruption a high-risk, low-gain undertaking. That's what Shard wrote in its 1998 annual report. Now, in 2014, Parliament adopted a National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, which encourages the state to foster an environment of meritocracy in both the public and private sectors. Then in 2019, the Ghana Integrity Awards was instituted to realize the aspirations of NACAP through recognizing individuals, institutions, and enterprises that are projecting integrity in their work.
Thanks for that. Winston. Okay, so let's get into our conversation. And as we mentioned in the studio, Mary Ada is the programs manager for GII. Prof. Day and Justice Short join us via Zoom. Now, I want to start, and I'll come around to each of you to get your take on this. But the results of CDD Ghana's survey are basically telling us that as much as 47% of Ghanaians are telling us that they expect that by the end of President Akufo-Addo's term, fighting corruption in government will be much worse. Mary, what do you make of this?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Good morning to you, to the distinguished panelists, and also to your cherished listeners. This is so unfortunate, but it is the reality we live with. I am very sure that if anybody else goes out there to conduct another survey, the results would not depart from what CDD has generated. It is a reflection of what people experience and what people's perceptions are. And usually I say that most of our perceptions are actually our relatives as we experience them. And judging from the fact that this survey was conducted just after the elections, where we saw a lot of profligacy happening, a lot of vote buying, and its antecedents with the political campaigning that went on. It is not surprising that after the citizens believe that what they saw is not painting a picture, that things would get better. And immediately after the elections, you would also agree with me that a lot of things have come up recently that have shown that we have not paid too much attention to following the regulations and the norms that are supposed to be guiding public office. And so it's not surprising that citizens believe that it is not going to be any better. But then I believe that surveys are for a purpose. And so we must all agree that this is what people see and this is what people believe. And so it's for us who are supposed to use these surveys to inform policy and also put in place strategies to ensure that we change the situation, are taking them in good faith and then practicalizing actions that are promoted by citizens to ensure that we all play our role to change the situation.
Right. I want to come to you now, Prof. Ade. You've said so many times in your own record, making the point that leadership makes a difference in the fight against corruption. But we are in the 5th year under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo. So what do you make of these results from CDD Ghana's survey, which show that people's expectation of President Akufo-Addo in terms of fighting corruption is not good? What do you make of that? Do we have Prof. Ade? I think you may have to unmute your microphone. Hello, Prof. Ade? No? Okay. But we do have Justice Short on the phone. Thank you for making the time, Justice Short. Let me get your take on people's expectations of President Akufo-Addo in terms of his fight against corruption in government.
Well, I think that the view of people as seen if the service done by CDC reflects what we're seeing, presently. And I'll give you a few examples. Uh, the government, in my view, has to take a proactive role in the fight against corruption. For example, it has to take a proactive role in implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Plan, which is a blueprint and adopts a holistic and comprehensive tool in the fight against corruption. However, we see that many implementing partners like the MDA, the ministry, departments, agencies, as well as district and municipal and metropolitan assemblies, they are not reporting to the extent to which they are complying with their obligation to submit reports to Shraj, steps they have taken to mainstream anti-corruption activities into their operations through notice, training, and sensitization. So Shraj also reports that some authorities don't even budget for NACAP implementation. Now, it's the responsibility of government to sanction these defaulters, but that does not happen. And then we also see in primary for election of aspiring candidates to represent their parties in parliament or to stand as presidential candidates. Vote buying is done by both dominant political parties, the NPP and NDC, publicly, without condemnation by the leadership of both parties. This practice does not inspire public confidence in government's commission to stamp out corruption. And then you have the Auditor General report, which someone has described as sexist, in the sense that the Auditor General audits the accounts of public sector institutions, and they repeatedly contain.
Forgive me, Justice Short. Forgive me for cutting in. I think we're having some difficulty with your line. It keeps breaking, so we sort of hear every other word. Let's see if we can try. If you can try and reposition yourself, we will come back to you so that we can get clearer. We can hear you clearer. In the meantime, I think we have Prof. Emeritus Stephen Ade on Zoom. We've got a clear connection now, Prof. I hope you can hear us.
Yes, I do. If you do hear me.
Yes, we can hear you too. So I was asking you earlier, I mean, you are on record as having said that leadership makes a difference in the fight against corruption. And we find ourselves in the 5th year under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo. And these survey results are indicating that people are, well, they don't have a very high expectation of President Akufo-Addo to perform well in his fight against corruption. What do you make of that?
Well, let me just step back a bit. I think that up to the hitting of COVID and everything else, the Transparency International report showed that the fight against corruption was marginally and improving. Therefore, we must look at two things before we come to that point. First, why has there been such a deterioration in perception in a very short time, basically over a year? And I think that
we must be very careful we put things in context. The first is that the COVID and resulting difficulties, Ghanaians are finding serious economic challenges, and therefore it heightens our consciousness as to what are our leaders doing. Second, I think that this is a very unusual survey in the sense that it is predictive of what may happen in 4 years, 3.5 years, which is quite unusual, not corruption perception today, which would have been quite, I don't think it would have been better, but it's a very unusual survey. But come to think about it, there is no doubt that the level of corruption in this country is far beyond what will allow us to develop as a country. And that the corruption is not only among the executive, but it's among the parliamentarians. I think that Our Lady mentioned what happened during the campaign period. It is very, very endemic within the public sector that it's almost impossible for genuine business to be done without encountering corruption in all phases. So there's no doubt at all that the corruption is very endemic, but one must be very careful, almost suggesting relativities. We must wait to see. As to my position, I believe that whether the progress of a nation or dealing with corruption, leadership has the principal responsibility. And their responsibility lies not so much in what some people say, why don't you put people in prison? The executive doesn't have the authority to put somebody in prison. It has to, because if we allow them to do so, eventually they will put innocent people also in prison. Therefore, but the executive leadership position lies in modeling. First of all, I believe that their lifestyle makes a lot of difference. Secondly, a study by Kierkegaard, which has not been controverted, says that the level of corruption depends upon these factors: the opportunity for people to be corrupt. Number two, the likelihood that they will be discovered. Third, the possibility that when they are discovered, they will be punished, they will be prosecuted, and fourth, they will be punished. And it is at these levels, I think that the executive and the leadership, including parliament, has a very important role in whether we create the opportunity for corruption or not. And I think that the leadership has a responsibility there. When people are perceived to be corrupt, I think we have come to a point whereby the leadership cannot say that unless I have evidence and everything else. A time has come, the level of corruption requires that we look at our laws and that people must be made to justify why they are not corrupt. When there's some evidence, if you have acquired, as somebody told me just this weekend, a party. Can I go on?
Yes, please go ahead.
A party agent within 3 years has two houses. Then you wonder, even if he was a millionaire, he wouldn't have built 2 houses in such a shorter time. So when there is slight evidence, I think Ghanaians led by the leadership should make it such that, Stephen Ade, you have this house. Your lifestyle, you are earning doesn't justify it. And therefore, the onus is on you, which will be a departure of the inherited British system, whereby you are not indicted until somebody has proven it. And there are other countries which have the law. In fact, I was told by a justice that, in fact, our law will allow people to be made accountable for. And the third, why the leadership is important, is that when you are a leader, even when you are not corrupt, you must deal with perceived corruption among your people surgically. And therefore, for me, both in the positive side of promoting development as well as the negative side, leadership is cause.
Right.
Everything else is effect.
Mm. Okay. Now let's now bring in the issue of integrity, and I'll start with you, Mariada, if you don't mind. First, let's set the parameters. Ghana Integrity Initiative has set up the Integrity Awards. All of this with the aim of sowing that seed in the minds of Ghanaians. But what is the seed we're sowing? What exactly is the definition of this integrity that we are trying to promote?
All right, so let me put it simply by picking it from what C.L. Lewis says. He says integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. And let me add to that by saying doing the right thing even when no one is watching consistently and frequently. It is consistent, it is frequent. It should be action that is done without you thinking of the effect at all. It is what you do on a normal day as you carry out your duties. Integrity is personal. It is shaped by our moral and also ethics when we grow up and we get into institutions. It could be personal because you need to be able to exhibit it. And then when you get into work or professional life, you need to also be able to determine what behaviors we are going by, and that is why we have ethics in place to ensure that we are working as people who are regulated by some codes, by some conducts. And so you would see integrity manifesting in various forms. A person with integrity, not we are not talking about Christians or Muslims, but we are talking about persons who are supposed to show integrity, are persons who would then go out there and do things that ordinarily in our space where corruption is so pervasive would not do. And so you see somebody see money on the ground, picks it and says, oh, that is it, you drop this, pick it. Ordinarily, somebody will pick it and thank God that and then you would see somebody stand up to a superior when they want them to take certain actions which go contrary to the laid down regulations in their workplace. This is integrity. You would see somebody stay behind to support their professional colleagues to finish their work. This is integrity. You would see people who do not snitch behind their colleagues to get the support of their superiors or to be liked at work. That's integrity. This should show the little things we do on a daily basis to ensure that we are promoting ethical behavior in our various spaces. It could be at work, it could be at home, but then it emanates from the individual and it's shaped by your values as well. And in this system where we do not think about values anymore, it's becoming seriously like an impossibility or the exception instead of the norm to see people exhibit traits of integrity.
All right, now just a short. I think we've got just a short now on Zoom as well, so hopefully a much clearer line. Just a short. It was back in 1998 when, under your leadership, Shraj commenced this process of establishing a national integrity system. What was the thinking behind it? You know, and how do you assess the journey so far? Do you think that we've achieved the objectives that Shraj set all the way back in '98? If we can, if you can unmute your microphone for us, just as short, so we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yes, in 1998, Shraj organized a national integrity workshop It brought together individuals from the commission, the judiciary, legislature, civil society, private sector groups, religious groups, and everybody that had a role to play in the fight against corruption. And the objective was to work towards preparing a national movement to combat corruption. One of the recommendations was for the creation of a civil society based body to support the efforts of state institutions in the fight against corruption. And in response to this call, the commission played a key role in the launch in December 1999 Ghana Integrity Initiative, which is the national chapter of Transparency International.
Yeah.
And one of the recommendations also was the need to establish a well-funded anti-corruption unit within SRAJ to pursue more vigorously its anti-corruption mandate. That led to the establishment of an anti-corruption department within SRAJ in 2000. 1999 also saw the establishment of the National Anti-Corruption Coalition, comprising of members from the private sector, government, anti-corruption agencies, and civil society in a partnership to combat corruption in all spheres of the Ghanaian society. So the objectives were definitely achieved, and we also had a national conference on integrity in 2011 in Accra, and it is at that conference that the draft national anti-corruption plan was validated. And that conference also brought together about 140 participants from local stakeholders such as government, independent constitutional bodies, civil society, and so on, development partners, and many others. So to a large extent, the objectives of the national the National Integrity Workshop have been achieved by the establishment of these institutions, which are playing a critical role in advocacy and public education in the fight against corruption.
So would you say that we are now a nation of integrity as a result of all this?
No, far from it. Integrity means doing the right thing at all times, whether somebody is watching, whether you know that you wouldn't be caught, and whether someone is putting pressure on you, like for example, you've been appointed by government and you're expected to do things or take decisions which please the government. A person of integrity will resist whatever pressures are being put on him or her in the performance of his or her duties. So integrity is we have institutional integrity and also we have personal integrity. In terms of individual integrity, citizens are expected to demonstrate integrity, to say no to corruption, to say no to vote buying, bribe giving, bribe taking, and all forms of corruption. And I think, in my humble view, this innate character of integrity is nurtured when you are growing up. If you have a good upbringing and your parents and your guardians instill in you the habits or practice of doing the right thing at all times, not speaking the truth, not lying, not taking advantage of other people, and this innate quality can be reinforced at schools and also by training. So, but unfortunately, I think we are many, many miles away from realizing integrity in all our public institutions because the level of corruption that exists now is abysmal. There is, corruption is now a norm, and people see nothing wrong with it. You hear people who work in public institutions saying they must benefit from their work. In fancy, they say, you know, and they see nothing wrong with what they're doing. And somebody is appointed to be the head of public procurement agency. He decides to take advantage of his position and to act in a manner which shows that he has no integrity whatsoever, and give contracts to companies that he himself has formed. All kinds of illegal activities go on in the public space. It is important also to point out that this fight against corruption is a collective effort. So whilst we must focus on leadership by government, it is also important to look at the individuals and also the private sector. So I think we have a long way to go in in sort of enforcing integrity or attaining integrity in the public and also in the private sector. And so the National Anti-Corruption Plan has a lot of activities and programs to enhance integrity in institutions, in schools. For example, Shraj has established integrity clubs in a lot of schools where students are taught about honesty, the meaning of integrity, hard work, contentment. Today, we see the youth wants to get rich quick by any means, fair or foul, even human sacrifice, and all sorts of practices which are completely contrary to the norms of integrity. Many youth don't have sound moral principles. So I think we have a long way to go in achieving the goals of integrity. And therefore, the National Anti-Corruption Plan has a lot of activities to promote integrity in the public sphere, as well as in the private sector, and also in schools and other institutions.
Prof. Ade, I'd like to bring you in at this point. I've been thinking about this. So, if indeed we all agree that integrity, promoting integrity, is the way to combat corruption in a way that prevents it from happening, then as a nation, don't we have a rather big problem? Because there is so much about our culture, there is so much about even some of our traditions and beliefs and societal norms that mitigate against integrity. I mean, we are a society that believes in giving gifts to people in authority just because they are in authority. We are a society that believes that we must benefit from whatever jobs we do, and the people around us must benefit too. We are a society that doesn't even grasp the concept of conflict of interest. It just doesn't compute for some of us. And on top of all this, we are a society that says you don't question your elders. So how and when and where and to whom do we introduce this idea of integrity?
Well, you have made it almost an impossibility, but I don't share. I don't share that view with you because I've seen societies make tremendous turnaround in a rather short period under certain conditions. There's no doubt at all that integrity has a personal element. In fact, in my book, Call to Lead, I devoted the last chapter to leading with integrity and how to grow in your personal integrity. But I also know that The same corrupt Ghanaian, when he goes to America, when he goes to Britain, he conforms and shelves all his cultural baggage and does the right thing. Why? And the reason is that the system will catch you if you attempt to beat it, and the penalty will be great. I believe that as much as I share all these with you, and that some will, I also believe that the best is to inculcate uh, integrity into the personal one. I like what we used to do, say, and act on in the United Nations. We don't take integrity outside. We had three terms which went together: is AIT, integrity, accountability, and transparency. When the system makes accountability almost you can't get away with it, and also the system is so transparent, and then those who monitor it, and it doesn't require too many monitors. I will come back to that one. You can see that a system can change markedly. Let me give you one, I say, relatively Ghanaian success story. The passport office. You and I know that until recently, until a few years ago, to get a passport, you have Goro boys, some people, other things. Today, you sit in your house, you fill a form, pay by electronic means. When you get to the passport office, the time which was given to you, you will be seen to, and within a week, you will get your passport, or if you didn't pay for the express, within 3 weeks, you'll get your passport. I just went through that one when my wife had her passport renewed without going to pull the hard Professor Emeritus Stephen Ade. Everybody went through the same thing. This shows that despite all these things, once there's a leadership commitment, then what Emil Short, my respected elder, said, we have a coalition at yours who will monitor it, and then the system is made that it is transparent and accountability is easier. We can turn things around very quickly, especially when it's backed by the fact that those who violate it will be dealt with. So I do share that we have a lot of systems. In fact, some of us have not umpteen times been told, Ade, Papa Juma, you are insulted and maligned, whether you are in Gimpa or at GRA or everywhere else. But I believe that few people can make a difference, and we shouldn't throw in the towel that is impossible. Take a case like Georgia, had one of the most corrupt police systems in the world, not unlike Ghana. One day, all the policemen were sacked, 16,000 or so of them. And the people were applied, and they became one of the cleanest police people. Once you are prepared to take the tough actions, and I believe that in not so long, Ghanaians will be willing even to set aside the two tribes of NDC and NPP who talk about relative. Now NDC people talk as if they have become angels. I mean, come on, the corruption on the NDC was hitting the roof. And we are seeing it today. But a day will come, like it happened in Motorika's day in Malawi, where a person of integrity will stand for presidency and will be voted as a president against these two people and set in motion. And within a short time, we can see a transformation in our country. Ghanaians should not give up hope. We can change the system.
Well, that was Prof. Stephen Ade. We'll be hearing more from him as well as our guest Justice Emil Short and Mary Ada. We're talking about integrity as the, if you like, the silver bullet that hopefully can stop corruption in its tracks by preventing it from even happening in the first place. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have a few more questions to tackle. how can you and I demonstrate integrity? Who should lead this process of promoting integrity? We'll also talk about the Ghana Integrity Awards. I mean, how will it help reduce corruption? And you know, a question that's been on my mind, if what we're trying to do here is normalize integrity, then should we be rewarding it as if it is some grand achievement? That and more when we return.
Wow, wow, wow. Hope you have heard, oh, rent to own now in Ghana. The Flan City Extension Project Rent to Own Land and House Ownership Scheme by the Ningo Prampram District Assembly and its partners, supported by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and the UN Habitat, are right here in Ghana. So be smart, oh, because where you trade and live really matters. Apply now and own a home or a fully serviced land. Wait a minute, oh. Don't forget to join our affiliate housing cooperatives also. Special offers last up to October 31st, 2021. Call us on 055 55 30 300 or 0577 911101 and 055 70 54 635. Website newaccra.city. Plant City Extension Project, shaping Ghana's urban future.
Mami awo dey be. Me need dem to ache no. I was say me pe ade a edem shronko. E ma kwa no afiwe. Me pe African Print Fabrica eye fedi a cheche o mawari ase.
Oh, medo. Ye go so that weekend yi. Ese say to shirt for mano.
Ko wudi retail stores e wo men ha baby a. Na ko je wo wudi ni ntuma edem shronko. Ana se entade a ye de designs edem fu na pempam de deda. Wo feel wo ho wudi mu no. Na wa dofo so feel wo mu hu bi.
Woodin, le créateur.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
Litina Travels and Tours, in collaboration with Cowbank PLC, brings to you a lifetime business trip to Istanbul, Israel, and leisure in Dubai. This package starts from $2,550 and it includes visa, flight, economy class, 4-star hotel, bed and breakfast, B2B meetings, tours, religious, sightseeing, shopping, and many more activities, airport transfers, travel insurance, and MISC. It's an experience you don't want to miss. Business areas, construction, building and roofing materials, equipments, industrial and heavy-duty machines, beverage and food processing equipment, automobile parts, decor and furniture, electronics, textiles, cosmetics, fashion, and many more. And this is all happening from the 2nd to the 15th of October 2021. Waste no time. Call Litina now on 0244 260 789. That is 0244 260 789. Locate Litina Travel at the Alisa Hotel, Northridge, or walk into any Cowbank branch. This event is powered by the Embassy of Israel, Joy FM, Cowbank Women's Banking, Litina Travel, and AGI.
Yeah, Sydney, je suis avec. Qu'est-ce que la nation choisit les Ghana? Arrêtez le papalage. C'est moi, le tu.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best. On Joy 99.7 FM.
Morris, Babyface, what you say now?
Come on. God, they chop him, but we'll stop him with integrity. You're welcome back. It's the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Today on Corruption Watch, we are going to anti-corruption school. We're talking about integrity and figuring out how we can wield it as a weapon against corruption. And just before we go any further, let me quickly say that text messages on the Super Morning Show are brought to you by Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GSIP. It's in your best interest to survive. Now, at Glyco Life, they believe that this is the time to protect your future with their life insurance policies. Your claims are very important as a policyholder, so please, the advice is that you can go visit Glyco Life at any of their offices or at glycolife.com to lodge your claims for prompt service. Also, look, we're all surviving COVID-19 together, so please pay your premiums on time. Use your chosen mode, whether it's Momo on 059 144 1473 or e-premium for micro insurance. Do it now and safeguard your policy. The call center team is ready to help you. Just call 020 2222 113 and they will help you. Or just contact GlycoLife via any of their digital channels. GlycoLife cares for your safety, so all offices are implementing the COVID-19 protocols as outlined by the Ghana Health Service. Please practice social distancing, keep safe, and trust GlycoLife to cushion you for life.
Well, let's face it, Charlie, you know that things make tight, but staying connected with family and friends is a must. And Selfline understands that you rely on daily income revenue to make a living. That's why we've introduced Pay Weekly data bundles for you. Selfline's new Pay Weekly bundle offers you value for money by giving you a flexible weekly payment option that is easy on your pocket. The Pay Weekly bundles are a simple and fast way to save cash, especially if you run your life or your business on a weekly budget. Time is money, and Selfline saves you a lot of it with all these new Pay Weekly bundles. Sign up to Pay Weekly on Selfline today by dialing *718 *77 hash. Selfline, we're better together.
All right, so let's pick up where we left off. Our guest, Professor Stephen Ade, Professor Emeritus Stephen Ade, Justice Emil Short, and Mary Ada have been regaling us with some very thought-provoking ideas of how integrity can be used to fight corruption. Now, as we come back, I want to start with Prof. Emeritus Ade. Now, obviously, we all have a role to play here. It's not just about leadership. It's about all of us. Of course, leadership is cause. Everything else is effect, as you have said, time without number. But let's walk through it, sort of the value chain, if you like. How do each and every one of us actually demonstrate integrity? How do leaders demonstrate it? How does the public sector demonstrate it? How does the private sector demonstrate it? How do citizens demonstrate integrity?
Well, I think that my two colleagues had opportunity of defining the integrity, and built in it, it's how to. In my book on Call to Lead, I said integrity has to do with consistency between what is inside a person and what is outside, between belief and behavior, our words and our ways, our attitudes and our actions. I think that as individuals, we have a major responsibility in this area of integrity. Let me give a very simple example. You go to an office. Usually, you go to the office of, say, the Lands Commission, or you go to a public office and you want a service. And you've been there twice and you are told, go and come again. Somebody who has come from all the way from Tamale to Accra to do business, you say, go and come tomorrow or the next day. Something which often can be done in 10 minutes. I believe that the individual has a choice. The choice of just going and coming, or putting a weight on an envelope. But there's a third one of insisting that you get service or you will not leave. I remember, since I mentioned the department in one of my the they thought they were considered to be worse than anybody else. But I'd sent somebody to an office when I was in Gimpa to go and do a registration in an office. The person went and of course, it was done the following week. He was going to get the results and said that the forms he brought were lost. And then, of course, I was called. I told her, don't move from the office. I took my car, drove myself, and I went and said, who is the officer? I said, this is the officer. Who says it is lost? I said, when you have lost it, it is your responsibility to find it, because I will not be responsible. It was a Thursday, and said by Tuesday, if I come and you haven't found it, I will know what I will do. Do you know that by Tuesday, the paper had been found, the processes completed, and were handed over what we were required? I think that individuals can make a difference, because you can make also the life of the corrupt public official uncomfortable. Because if you decide not to leave, of course, what will happen is initially people around you will insult you. Are you the only one to be served? You are wasting our time. But if you insist on it, they are likely to serve you first and let you go quickly so that they can get more of their bribe. I believe that individuals have a very big role in fighting against corruption. But there is also the need for the coalition of people. Here in this country, we have many like me who have been given honors. It's up to us to show that you don't get companion of the Volta and then sit on it. It's a national recognition. And I think that these people must come together and stand behind people, those who are being victims. At this moment, I always point to the fact that my own colleagues, the academia, who are actually much more insulated, are not contributing their quota. So the academics everywhere, the critical middle class, always play a critical role in the fight against corruption. So my take is that it will take not everybody. In fact, I was once giving a lecture in Kenya, and I said it requires 500 people who in a country want the right thing to be done and can give quote unquote hell to those who are corrupt, and soon things will start changing. When I finished, a much wiser person came and tapped me and said that, hey, young man, all that you need is 50 people who are prepared to pay the price. Because remember, the corrupt people are like the mafia people. They will come after you. They will want to destroy your business. They would like to take your post. They would like you to be sacked and the rest. But some Ghanaians must be prepared to pay the price to save this country from lack of integrity and the prevalent corruption in our land.
Just a short, Prof. Ade has made the point that Ghanaians who we observe acting without integrity can go to other countries where the systems work and act with integrity, or at the very least, hide their lack of integrity.
Yeah, they hide.
Yes. So if that's the case, then are we not perhaps, in our bid to preach integrity, are we not avoiding what the real solution is, which is stricter systems? I mean, would that not perhaps achieve more of a result against corruption than asking people to just have integrity, which we establish is like asking them to go against their nature?
Well, I think the reason why people behave improperly without integrity here, but when they go to foreign countries like the UK, America, they act with integrity is because the laws are enforced in those countries. In our country, we have a serious problem of accountability. You know, I mean, Professor Adai mentioned the issue of transparency and accountability. But if people know that they will be punished if they do the wrong thing, they will comply. This is a natural instinct of the human being. So we have in Shraj, we introduced code of conduct for public officers, a generic code of conduct which can be adopted by each institution to instill integrity in the employees. It contained issues of conflict of interest and the acceptance of gifts for people in public office. So we have, I mean, many other institutions like the NCC have an important role in instilling integrity in the individual. But you find in some countries, somebody was telling me about a situation in the Netherlands where you go to buy a bottle of milk and you take the milk and you put the money in a container. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
But nobody takes the milk without paying for it. And nobody touches the money which is in the container. So that, you see, integrity has been institutionalized. Everybody has developed that innate character of integrity. But here, one, because accountability is not as strict as it should be, and you know, doing the wrong thing has become a norm. Corruption has become a norm in our societies. But I do believe that we can make progress, as Professor Adai mentioned. There has been a lot of improvement in the passport office. There has been a lot of improvement in the DVLA office, and also in the National Identification Authority, where I went recently. We see improvements in the way things are done. But there is a lot to be done in the public sector institution. In the, you know, when you want to get licenses, permits, or you want to get, you go to the Lands Commission and you need to register your document. We still have a low level of integrity in some of these institutions. And so there is a need to really instill ethical, sound moral and ethical values at all levels of society. And I think that we can achieve it, but it will take some time, and it will leadership has to lead by example. You know, because there are a lot of people now who indulge in corruption, and they will tell you that, well, the big people are taking it, so why not we take just about 1/10 of what they are taking. So it really requires a collective effort on each and every one of us, and institutions like Shraj, NCC, the religious bodies, very important constituency in the fight against corruption. They have a very huge congregation. So integrity can be instilled by all these institutions in their members.
Right. Thank you, Justice Short. Thanks very much for that. Notice how fast our time is running. We're almost at the end. I saved you for last because I wanted to learn a bit about this year's Ghana Integrity Awards, and also if you can perhaps address that issue of why we are rewarding people for something that we want them to do as second nature.
Thank you very much, Kojo. We are rewarding people for this behavior or showing integrity because it is not the norm now, even though it is supposed to be. And so for those individuals, very few of them who are exhibiting these traits, who are holding on to these values, they must be in all our affairs applauded and also shown that things can happen this way. People should be encouraged to do more of this, because otherwise we would be doing a lot of things in the wrong way. And so for us, grounded in the 1998 integrity workshop, you realize that one of the activities was to institute an award scheme to then motivate people to want to do even more in this country. Also, in the NACAP, when you look at the strategic objective 1, activity number 19, it clearly says that the state shall institute an award scheme to set off, promote integrity amongst public service, and not just public service actors, but at all levels. And so the media, civil society, public and private sectors can't do that. And so our award is grounded in that. And so we started in 2019. Kojo, you were part of this.
Yes, I hosted the first
you hosted
one.
the first one, which went very well, with the former Auditor General winning the Integrity Personality of the Year. This year we have 6 categories of the awards. Because of the purposes of time, let me just read them out. We have a policy and admin reforms category. We have a transparency and social accountability category. We have an efficient public service delivery category, effective internal control enforcement category, business integrity category, and then we have an integrity personality of the year. There is a criteria to be eligible, so people we can go on to we can go on to the website.
On the website,
but let me end by saying that Joy FM, we ask you to come on board to partner with us. The awards are expensive. The Kingdom of the Netherlands Embassy in Ghana is sponsoring us. We have Enterprise Group coming on, ABL as well. And so we are calling on everybody, including Joy FM, to come on board as our media partner.
That's certainly a conversation that we can't walk away from. Thank you so much, Mary Ada. Thank you, Justice Emil Short, and Professor Emeritus Stephen Ade. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for listening. I'm told my time is completely up, but please join us tomorrow for another edition of the Super Morning Show. The 10 o'clock bulletin comes up in just a couple of minutes.
Owning a home is an accomplishment we feel very proud of. But when it comes to choosing how to acquire that property, we are often faced with the dilemma of deciding between building or buying. It's the 12th edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, powered by the planned city extension project from Cities and Habitat. The fair is under the theme Home Ownership.